The world's biggest retail developers are cashing in on Macau's casino rush. Taubman Asia's hooked up with Hong Kong's eSun to develop 750,000 square feet of luxury retailing in Macau. Macau last year surpassed the Las Vegas Strip as the world's biggest gambling hub. It's a distinction retailers say will prompt increased shopping in the former Portuguese enclave. But some say the legalization of casino gambling in several Asian markets may soon take the sheen off Macau. Singapore last year awarded bids for 2 casino resorts, while Japan, South Korea, the Philippines, and Taiwan are considering allowing casinos too in an effort to boost tourism. Here with more on his thoughts is Morgan Parker here in Hong Kong. He's president of Taubman Asia, a subsidiary of Taubman Centers, a $6 billion portfolio of more than 20 shopping malls over the U.S. Good to have you back with us, Morgan. So how real is this danger? Will having casinos all over Asia cut Macau's gaming and retail revenue?
Well, we don't really think so. It is true that gaming has become a more accepted form of entertainment within the Asian region. But I think Macau is really the one place in Asia that has a significant critical mass of casino developments, which is very, very difficult for other markets to replicate. And that critical mass should continue to make Macau really the mecca of gaming and entertainment, and indeed leisure generally in Asia.
Which brings us to your Macau Studio City project. How is that coming along? You've broken ground in January.
It's coming along very, very well. We, of course, in Taubman are the retail partner for this project. It's a very large project located on the Cotai Strip. We feel that the retail opportunity in Macau is amongst the best in all of Asia. We really believe in the synergy that exists between casinos and the shopping environment. And Macau Studio City to us is the best opportunity for us to take advantage of that in Asia.
And you're targeting key luxury groups or the so-called bell cow retailers. So who have you signed up so far? We started our leasing process in earnest about 6 weeks ago. And of course, we're working with very important luxury groups in Asia. We have a very deep and long history with those retailers in the United States, being a landlord to, if not all of them, then certainly the most important ones. In Asia, of course, luxury goods are expanding at a very rapid rate, and all of the luxury retailers are looking at Macau as a very important growth opportunity for them. Of course, the early signs in Macau with stores that have recently opened is very, very positive. So our leasing process, whilst has only been underway for a few weeks, is showing a lot of promise. What about LVMH or Gucci? Have they signed up? Because these are existing businesses in Macau, and one would suspect that probably they've also signed up with you.
We have ongoing discussions with those types of retailers, and I'm very encouraged by those discussions to date. Our aim is really not only just to get those retailers into our shopping centre, but create flagship locations for them. And our shopping centre will be different to others in that it will hopefully present these luxury retailers in a way that is unique and different to other venues that they have in Macau.
And who among the retailers here in Hong Kong have you signed up? Because you've got about 700 in your target list.
We haven't actually signed any leases to date. The leasing process is an iterative one. We're about 2 years away from opening. So over the next 12 months, we expect to make a series of announcements with very exciting retailers.
But what makes you say that there's significant pent-up demand in Macau when gaming operators there are mushrooming and they're like building too much too soon? Isn't that going to mean an oversupply in the retail market at some point in Macau? It's such a small city.
Well, it's true that it is a small residential base, but the tourist arrival numbers are very, very encouraging, with 22 million visitors to Macau at the end of last year, and that number already growing significantly in the first 2 quarters of this year. It has been said that there is oversupply of retail. Our view is that the retail relationship to the casinos and the hotel development shows statistically that even if all of the retail is built in Macau over the next 3 to 5 years, that it will still be significantly undersupplied when you compare it to other gaming markets like Las Vegas.
And you're talking about 6 million square feet of retail space in,
That's
say,
right.
the next 2 to 3 years.
That's right. But
So
you're also
help
talking...
me do the maths here. I mean, isn't that oversupply at some point?
Well, at the end of 2006, Las Vegas had roughly about 350 square feet of retail per hotel room. At the same time, at the end of 2006 in Macau, it had about 28 square feet of retail per hotel room. If all of the retail gets built in Macau over the next 3 to 5 years, the 6 million square feet, that number will still only be about 180 square feet per hotel room. Still about half of what Las Vegas has in the same ratio.
And you gave a timetable of 2 years. Are you still on track? Late 2009, you're going to be opening?
We're planning to open Macau
Studio
City in 2009. Of course, there's been many delays for other projects in Macau. Labour is a big challenge. There are a lot of very big projects being built, and so that naturally strains the resources of the region. But we think...
How are you going about the labour shortage in Macau?
We're fortunate in that we're coming after some of the other big developers, so we're very lucky that other projects have really cut a path for us, and we've learned a lot about other projects' delays and cost overruns, for instance. So we're taking measures to ensure that we manage our project to a timely completion.
What measures have you employed then?
Well, it's a series of contracting arrangements that we have. Of course, the building of the project is done by someone else, but I think for us as a company, we've never really missed an opening. In over 60 years of development, we've opened over 50 shopping centres and never once missed an opening date.
And the second opening is coming online in 2011, that's for sure.
That's the current plan, but we'll see how things unfold.
All right, well, stick around with us. We'll be back in 2 minutes for more on the Chinese market and the other Asian markets that Morgan Park is going to be looking at in, say, the next couple of years. Stay with us. You're watching Bloomberg Now.
Standard Chartered Bank presents the rates and FX update. Turn more currencies in your favor with Standard Chartered Bank.
We are Bloomberg Television. Reporters all over the world, gathering financial news to keep you informed as it happens. Our global network gives you the complete picture of what's moving with the markets, locally and on a national and an international scale. Bloomberg Television, wherever, whenever, information that affects your world.
You can do things the long way, or you can do things the efficient way. Bloomberg Trading Systems is the straight-through total value solution for the order management process. Get from the trade through compliance to clearing and settlement quickly and efficiently. Bloomberg Trading Systems is your total value solution.
And we're joined by Morgan Parker, president of Tubman Asia here in Hong Kong. Morgan, what makes you say that
that China is not the right place to go into right now. I mean, you're looking at Macau as a potential market because of the mainland Chinese tourists that go into the Macau area, but you don't want to look into the Chinese property market. How come?
Well, I think that China is obviously a very interesting market and one that can't be ignored by any retail developer. We have spent a lot of time over the last 2 years investigating opportunities in China, but we really feel Macau gives us, if you like, a concentrated and a more potent exposure for our company and our shareholders to China. Interestingly, the IVS scheme allows Chinese mainlanders to come into Macau. So by developing a mall in Macau, we really access Chinese mainlanders in a different way, in a pre-qualified way, if you like. So we're sort of getting that exposure to China through Macau. But
you've spoken with 200 developers in 2 years, and yet you couldn't find a single local partner?
Well, partnership is obviously a very complicated thing in a market like China. Finding partners with the same sort of long-term objectives as the Taubman Company, who like to develop, then own and manage our shopping centres long-term, is difficult in a market where you have a lot of euphoria and a lot of trading-type mentality where people are developing shopping centres and quickly selling them. The Chinese market, though, in retail is probably the most dysfunctional of all of the real estate sectors.
In what way?
There's been a tremendous amount of development. Much of it has been stimulated by the wrong factors. You know, we like to build shopping centres that are responding to a genuine consumer and retailer demand.
Are you saying an asset bubble is possibly going to happen in China?
I think it would be fair to say, in the retail sector, it would be fair to say that there has been some oversupply. But more importantly, oversupply of poor quality retail space. Retailers often lament and comment to me that they are finding it difficult to locate and identify suitable retail locations. They want to expand, they see the consumer demand, they're looking for good quality real estate. Yet with all of this development, they still can't find it.
So
Why?
What do you need to see before considering an investment in mainland China?
I think we need to see returns that are more commensurate to the risks. And the biggest risk in China today is the supply dynamic, the future supply dynamic, and not really being sure where and how these cities are going to develop. It's true that in most Chinese cities that the centre of the city is moving. This is typical in an emerging market. In retail, you always want a great location. You want to be right on transportation, infrastructure. With that landscape changing so dramatically, it's very hard to find the right spot.
So when you do go into China, where will you want to be? In the first-tier cities where prices have gone up through the roof, or are you considering the second-tier cities where it's not as pricey?
I think we're very focused on prime locations. Taubman is a company that has built relationships with luxury retailers over the last 5 decades. Luxury retailers demand the best locations. And the tier 1 cities really provide that, I think, long-term. Second-tier cities will also be in our radar.
Let's switch over to South Korea because you're the lead retail developer there for Gale International's new Songdo City. What's been the progress so far?
Terrific progress. Korea is a really exciting market for us. We're delighted to be building what is really the very first international-style shopping centre ever in Korea. The progress to date has been very good in terms of planning the shopping centre, finding retailers to anchor the shopping centre. We have one of Korea's leading department stores, one of Korea's leading hypermarket operators, and one of Korea's leading cinema operators that have decided for the very first time ever to cohabitate in one project, which is ours at Songdo.
Are you going to take an equity stake in the project?
We absolutely plan to make an investment in the Songdo project.
And you said that you're going to be deciding that within this year.
That's correct, yes.
How soon?
I expect in the next 3 to 6 months we'll be making an announcement about our equity commitment there, which will be our second equity commitment in Asia.
Now, what about the rest of Asia? What cities are you eyeing next? Are you more interested in the mature markets like Japan, Australia, or Singapore, or are you looking at the emerging markets like India?
We're really looking at all of the large economies in Asia where consumerism has taken hold and there's genuine demand by retailers to expand. Of course, China and India are truly the growth markets in Asia and particularly in retail. India is a very interesting market to us, a huge number of retailers, a great sense of entrepreneurialism, but also...
Not dysfunctional? I mean, I'm hearing from some other developers that there's a problem with transparency when it comes to the Indian real estate
absolutely.
market.
Unfortunately, India is in the grip of the shopping centre boom that we've seen in China for the last 3 to 5 years, and that's polluting the market there somewhat. But India, unlike China, does have a very strong and deep pool of retailers. indigenous retailers to India that are expanding at a great rate. And at the end of the day, my job is to respond to retailer demand, and India has that.
You left out Hong Kong in the list of mature markets. Is it because prices are too high here?
Hong Kong is a market that is very well serviced by local developers. I would consider it one of the most sophisticated retail markets in Asia, and we feel that the value that we can bring is better served and better focused on markets where there is a deficiency of quality retail as opposed to an abundance of quality retail.
So you're ruling out any investments here in Hong Kong, or are you going to be waiting for rents to fall before you consider that?
We're not building in Hong Kong at this point in time, and we don't foresee any material developments coming our way in the near term.
All right, we got about a minute, Morgan. What are your growth projections for retailing in the region over the next 5 years? Well,
the markets of China and India, I think, are going to continue to grow at double-digit rates in terms of retail sales, which is the most important metric in our industry. The more mature markets of Hong Kong, Singapore, and Tokyo, for example, are growing at more modest rates. We're really looking for opportunities where we can sort of outpace market rates. Historically, we've always been able to achieve rents that are above market by creating retail sales opportunities for our retailers that are in excess of the market. I think the retail prospects right across Asia are very, very robust for at least the next 5 to 10 years. We feel very confident about the medium and long-term future in this part of the world.
Great. Well, thank you so much for joining us, Morgan. Morgan Parker of Taubman Asia here in Hong Kong. We'll be back in 2 minutes. You're watching Bloomberg Live.